guys, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here and you like farmhouse DIYs and Dollar Tree decor DIYs, then please consider hitting that subscribe button and the little bell notification to be notified each time I upload a new video. If you are one of my current subscribers, welcome back. I am so glad to have each and every one of you here today. I have 3 Dollar Tree farmhouse mini planter DIYs that I want to share with you guys today. So let's get started. So for DIY number 1, I made a mini wishing well planter. And I am using one of these boxes that you pick up at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pull the little drawer out and set that to the side for another project. I only need the outside of that piece. One of the wooden planks that you can pick up in the Crafter Square section at Dollar Tree. They come in a package of 6, but I only needed 1. One of these square wood tags, I thought I was going to need 2, but I only needed 1, and you can get a package of those at Dollar General. An extra piece of round wooden dowel that I had, and a square dowel, some Gorilla Wood glue, hot glue, and some sandpaper, and this is actually the sandpaper from the Dollar Tree. So I begin by measuring the long wooden plank in half, and then I'm going to take my rusty miter saw, my little hand saw, and I'm going to cut that in half to have 2 equal parts. Then once I have cut that in half, I'm going to take the wooden dowel, the square one, and I'm just going to cut it at an angle on each side of one end to give it a point at the top. So just flip that over and cut the other side the exact same way. And then I'm also going to do the other end just like I did that end to create a point at the top of the square dowel. Then I'm also going to sand that down to a nice smooth finish, making sure all those rough edges are gone. Then I just take that wooden tag and draw it from corner to corner so I can have 2 even triangles. And then again, using my handsaw, I just cut that in half to create the 2 even pieces, and then I sand everything down to get rid of any of the rough edges. Then I took the square dowel and just cut it in half, and these are going to be the posts for the little well house, and it's not quite as tall as I wanted it to be. So I opted to use 4 of the little square wooden cubes that you get at Dollar Tree. So I just take 2 of those wooden cubes. Geez, I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what's taking so long for me to get these wooden cubes. There we go. So I'm just going to take, well, first of all, I'm going to measure the center on each side of the box just so I know where I want to put my posts. So they'll be evenly matched on each side. So I just get the center on those 2 opposing sides, and then I use my wood glue and my hot glue to glue 2 of the cubes together. And then I'm going to repeat that process with the other 2 cubes, and this is going to give me some more height on those square dowels for those posts to hold the little roof up. So once I get those glued together, I am going to glue the square dowel to the corner side piece of those 2 cubes, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other square dowel, but I'm going to make sure that I keep it on the corner side of the opposite side, so that they will be evenly placed when I put those into the little box. So I found the best way to put these in the box was to lay it on its side, lay the little box on the side, and actually put wood glue on the cubes and the side, and then just lay that down, and you'll see in just a minute if that makes sense. Just lay it down on its side to make sure that I can keep that center of the line that I had already marked on there. And then once I get it centered on that line on the little side there, I'll just set it up just to make sure that that square dowel is straight. So I'll just kind of move that around and make sure that it's straight. And I'm going to repeat that process on the other side as well. Just putting the glue on there and then putting it on the side. You could put some on the bottom if you wanted to, but I found that putting it on the side held perfectly fine. So just put that in there, and then once you get that secured on the side, before the glue has completely set up, just hold it up and make sure that it is straight and even with the other one. Then I measured the distance between the two square dowels, excuse me, and I cut my round wooden dowel down to size so that it would fit in between those two square dowels to create the little hanger to hang the flower planter basket from. So I'm going to secure that again with some wood glue and hot glue. And I didn't measure any distance down. I just kind of eyeballed it and got it to the height that I wanted and made sure it was pretty level in between those two square dowels. And then I'm just going to hold that in place for a minute and make sure that glue sets up. Then I'm going to take the triangle, the little wood tags that I cut into triangle pieces, and I am going to run some hot glue, and I'm going to glue that to the side of the square dowel, matching the top point of the triangle to the top point of that square dowel that we had cut down. So I'm going to repeat that process on the other side as well. And this is what our roof is going to attach to. So I'm just going to glue that down, making sure the points are lined up. And then I can take one of the half pieces of the long plank that I had cut in half, and I'm going to hot glue that to the side piece of that point, and then those two triangle edges, and glue that to the top of the points, making sure I have the same amount hanging off of each side, if that kind of makes sense. And then I'm going to glue the other side the same way, but I'm going to bring that up a little bit higher just so that we don't have a gap on that top of that roof line. So it's going to go a little bit, like it's going to be flush with that roof line, the other side, instead of like an overhang. And you'll see in just a minute. That way it won't have a gap and it'll look nice and flush with the top. And then I let that set and let the glue set up pretty good. And then I do sand that down, trying to get any of the excess glue off before I paint it. And I'm using the Krylon Chalky Finish Classic White paint. And I paint about halfway down the inside, and it only took one coat to get some really good coverage on this wood. And I was going to use some black chalkboard paint mixed with some water to give it a distressed look, but I did not like the way it came out on the little mini well house, and I'll show you in a minute. But I do like how it came out on this little bell. This bell came from a windmill piece on a different project I'd used from the Dollar Tree. So I just kept that little bell. And I took the little eye screw out of the bottom and then reattached the chain at the top. And then I'm going to put that eye screw down through the center to create a little basket. And I just use a bead that I already had that would, you could use any bead that would fit the little eye screw, would fit down into the hole on the bead so that I can secure that in there. So I just take the eye screw and put that on the inside of the little bell, which is going to become our basket, and then put the bead on the end and then hot glue that on the end, as well as push that down and then run hot glue around the outside of the bead. And then I'm also going to put some glue on the inside of that bell just so that eye screw doesn't jiggle around. It'll hold it straight. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Once I get the glue on the outside of that bead, I just go in there and kind of make sure that that eye screw is straight and put some glue on each side of that just to keep it straight so it doesn't jiggle around. Then I'm going to give that a coat of paint with the same white chalk paint. And like I said before, I used some black chalk paint and some water to kind of give it a nice effect. And I like the way it turned out on the little planter basket there. But I ended up having to repaint the little well house and just went back over that with a dry brush and give it a distressed look with the chalk paint with a dry brush. Then I'm just going to take one of these little chalkboard signs that come in a package at the Dollar Tree and pop the stake off the back of that. And then I wrote in pencil the word welcome on the little chalkboard sign. And then I'm going to use my oil-based white Sharpie and just go over what I'd already written in pencil. And then I used some little baby's breath off of like a rose bundle with baby's breath that I had picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I just cut some of that baby's breath off and just kind of cut it into a bunch of different little pieces and hot glued that down inside of the little basket so it looked like pretty little white flowers coming out of the little planter basket. And then I'm going to take that and hang that little hook onto the center of the dowel that I had placed at the top of the little wishing well. And I thought that I was going to put some lamb's ear in there, but it kind of took away from the little basket, so I liked it without the lamb's ear. And I hot glued the welcome sign to the center of the front of the little wishing well, and I think this turned out so adorable, so cute. You could put some flowers in the bottom if you like, but I thought it took away from the basket. So for DIY number 2, I am going to be making a mini farmhouse tub planter, and this was so super easy. So I was really excited when I found this bathtub in the toy section at the Dollar Tree. So to give it a little bit more of a realistic look instead of a plastic look, I take some of my chalk paint and give it one good coat on the inside and the outside, and I let that completely dry before I take my black chalkboard paint, and then I'm going to go over the rim, just that top rim, and the handles, and then the little feet at the bottom. And I think it really made it look more like a clawfoot tub, even though it didn't have claw feet, but it is really, really cute. And I thought this would be something really cute to put in my bathroom, to have some nice farmhouse bathroom decor in there. So once I get that rim painted and I paint the feet, and it's pretty much like 2 little half circles at the bottom, I am going to be using some of these wood stems that you get at the Dollar Tree, and some lamb's ear, some pieces that I had already left over from another project. I actually got this at Hobby Lobby, and some really pretty pink flowers. These came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pop some of those off of the top of the stems. So I put my wood stems in the bottom of the little bathtub planter and just kind of fit them snugly in there so I could determine how many I needed, and then I hot glue each one down. And then what I love about this is I'm not going to be putting my florals, I'm not going to hot glue them in there. I'm just going to put them in between the little stems so that I can change this out for any season. So when fall comes, I can take those out and put some nice fall flowers in there, and I could just make this change for every season. I thought this would be a really cute bathroom decor piece. So please let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really think this one turned out so adorable, so cute. I really like this one. So for DIY number 3, I am going to be making a farmhouse wood planter. And for this project, I used 2 boxes of the tumbling tower game that, again, you can pick up at the Dollar Tree, as well as my Gorilla Wood glue and my hot glue. So for this project, I laid out 6 of the tumbling tower pieces horizontally, and then 2 vertically in the middle, and then 6 horizontally on the other side. So I used my wood glue and hot glue and glued each piece together, and trying to keep it as flat as possible and level as possible, it's a little bit more difficult when you do the sides, but the bottom's pretty flat. And then I secure those 2 vertical pieces to the 6 horizontal pieces, and then I do that for the other side as well. And then I will glue those 6 pieces to the 2 vertical pieces, if that makes sense. Then I'm going to repeat that process for the side. So it's still going to be, it's going to look just like that section right there, except I'm going to be gluing it to the side upwards, but it's going to be flush on the bottom of that base. So that's going to be our base, and then I'm going to create the 4 sides, and they're all going to look just like that, except for 2 sides you will see like the ends of these little tumbling tower pieces, but I'm okay with that because it gives it a little bit more of a rustic feel. Plus, I'm going to add a little extra to it anyways once I get done and I paint it. So this is the most time-consuming part, is just gluing each of these pieces together, which I really enjoy because it's kind of like putting a little puzzle together, but I enjoy putting all of these together. So once I get all four sides on there, I do let that dry really well, especially the wood glue, before I go in and get all that excess glue off. I mean, you can wipe the excess, like the big globs of excess glue that are coming out, but to like really get it sanded down good, I do wait, because I was struggling a little bit trying to make sure that they kind of stayed level, and one side is not completely level, but it's okay. You can't really tell it. But see right here, you can see where it's kind of like going inward. Maybe I didn't push one of those pieces all the way flush at the bottom, but I think it still turned out cute, and I guess that's all that matters because it's in my house. But, you know, if you wanted to be a little bit more meticulous, you could probably wait between each one and make sure it's completely dry. But me being a little bit impatient, kind of just kept pushing forward and trying to get all those pieces together before it dried. But I think it turned out cute. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. But here I'm just showing you this is how those 6 pieces are to the 2 vertical on each side. And then these are where those little end pieces stick out. Then I sand it down to a smooth finish. And I put 1 coat of the chalk paint. And I do completely paint the inside as well as the outside. And so once that paint completely dries, I take this beautiful buffalo check ribbon. I actually got this 40% off at Hobby Lobby. And I just cut 2 lengths down so that I could hot glue the ribbon around the bottom part of the planner as well as the top. And I absolutely love how this black and white looks together. And I just made sure that the seam on the ribbon was on the bottom, and then that same seam was at the top of the planner box, if that kind of makes sense. And then I took a piece of the floral foam. You could hot glue that down, but I didn't want to. So, because I may change that out, I might take it out, and instead of using it as a planner, you could put utensils or anything in there you wanted to. So I just put my lamb's ear in there, and I wanted a little something extra, so I used some of the wire edge burlap ribbon. Again, this came from the Dollar Tree as well. And I didn't measure the length of the ribbon. I just kind of held it up to the box to see about what size bow I wanted to make. And then I'll cut that little extra off once I determine the size of my bow. And I do use that little piece. That little piece is what I'm going to use to wrap around the bow to give it its center. And once I get the size that I really want, I just squeeze the middle of that together, and then I take that little extra piece that I had cut off, and I'm going to fold that into thirds. And then I'm going to wrap that around the center of the bow and glue it in the back of the bow. So just kind of glue that down. And then the other piece that I have set to the side there, that's going to become the tail of the little bow. So I just fold that in half, and then I kind of fold it down like a V. And then I'm just going to hot glue that to the back of the bow, and then cut the little dovetails in the end of the tails of the bow, and then hot glue that to the front of my planner box. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so adorable, so cute. Pretty versatile piece. You don't have to use it as a planner box. So you guys let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. Thank you so much for watching, and please take care, and I'll see you next time.